Okay, here's a look at what we'll be doing today. We're going to be adding meshes that we can add inside of the level traversable block blueprint. So what we want to do is we want to first go to Quixel Bridge and download some meshes that we can add on top of these level block traversables. We added the Quixel Bridge earlier in one of my videos to add mega humans or metahumans. So now we'll just use it to add some 3D assets. So we want to look for some sizes that are halfway the size of a human. So you see that little human figurine and the size. We want something that comes about halfway up to him, because if it's too small in the scene, if we're able to clear it just by jumping, sometimes the character won't try a traversable action. So that's why we want something that kind of comes up to his waist so that he can't clear it just by a simple jump, so that he'll be forced to try a traversable action. Okay, so let's just get an idea of what these new assets that we downloaded look like. Let's see here. Let's drag this into the scene. Okay, so that's a pretty good height. The electrical box is the best of the 3D assets we just downloaded, so we'll go ahead and work with that one first. So the level block traversable, let's go ahead and edit that blueprint. Now here, you might want to create a child class of the level block traversable and work in that instead of here, so that if you make changes, they're not inside of this. You don't want to duplicate it, because if you duplicate it, it will not work, because when you try a traversable action, it casts to the level block traversable. So it has to be this that you're working in, or a child class of it. Alright, I'm just going to add a static mesh to this. And I'm not going to add it as a child to the static mesh. I'm going to add it as a child to the default scene root. That way, if I change the static mesh's scale, it won't change the scale of the new visible static mesh that we're going to add, like the electrical box and things like that. Okay? And it's also a good idea to set it, the collision to visible static mesh in here to no collision. That way you're not having to change it each time within the map like I do in the rest of this video. Okay, so change it inside the level block, the visible static mesh, to no collision. Okay, so now if we select the level track, you'll notice that the scale is 0.521. So let's go ahead and reset that to 11111. And now we want to go ahead and set the location of this static mesh, this visual static mesh that we'll be keeping inside the level, and we're making everything else invisible. Okay, and we want to place this just inside of the orange, because the orange is still all the collision, right? Because we turned off the collision for that electrical box, and now the collision is still all this orange. So we want to make sure that that's slightly kind of, especially on the top where the spleens are. If you those spleens, that's what we're looking for when we're traversing. So you want to make sure that those are above the electrical box or whatever custom mesh that you're putting in. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off the visibility of the text and the orange box, the static mesh, and then let's go find the collision, and we'll turn this to no collision. You see how it's not changing there? It's because I didn't change it inside the actual blueprint. So you have to do it inside the blueprint. Okay, and here it doesn't really matter because I put it inside of the orange box. But if you have it sticking out or anything like that and there's collision on there, it's going to mess things up. So you want to make sure that no collision is in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and add, let's try to add the tarped crate. So we'll add that. Tarped crate. Okay, let's go ahead and reset the level block traversable, the main parent root of everything. The level block traversable, we'll change the scale back to 111. And then we'll go down and select our visible SM. Make sure that's selected so that you can move it around inside the scene and get it placed correctly. Okay, because if something else is selected, it will move that thing around. Okay, so once we have that placed, we want to go and then select the static mesh so we can reset the size or change the size of that to get it to the size of this tarped crate. Okay, and you see next to the scale where it has 0.25, if that is blue, it's going to snap. If it's not, if it's grayed out like it is now, it will not snap, so that you can have a little bit more customability when you're scaling. Okay, and now let's go turn off. Oh, No, we want to make sure we want it that a little bit above the tarp. Okay, so that orange is showing. And really, it's the top that matters the most. So if you see a little gray coming out of the sides, that's okay. We don't want it on the top. So let's go and turn off the visibility of the static mesh. Turn off the visibility of the text. And let's go ahead and turn off the collision of this, which we can't because we didn't change it inside the blueprint. So make sure that you go into the blueprint and turn see how this is. Okay, we weren't traversing it because we were able to clear it. Okay. So let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger so that we can't just clear it by jumping. We'll change everything to 1.5. And again, broken record, you have to change the visible static mesh collision to no collision inside of the blueprint because it will not change inside the level. Okay, so we're changing everything to 1.5. That way we can jump up here and traverse it. Okay? Alright, and there you go. Customizable traversable meshes. Alright? And if you want to jump over the fence like this, like I did in the video, we got to make sure that this is unconnected inside your sandbox character. In the jump, we do not want to have it checking for moving on ground. And then also, we need to double jump. So we jump once, and then when we're up in the air, we hit jump again, and then it will jump over a fence like that. And from what I can tell is when you have a higher mesh, like at the height of the fence, if the mesh isn't thick enough for you to stand on the top of it, you won't be able to traverse it without unchecking that branch like I just showed you inside the sandbox. Alright? So thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.